I'm Judith Gonyea, a professor in the School of Social Work. One strand of my research focuses on how place matters in later life. I view housing and neighborhood as major pathways through which health disparities emerge and are sustained. My focus is on urban, low-income older adults, both housed and unhoused. Today, I share a small slice of my homelessness research. Older women have largely been invisible population in the U.S. However, that's clearly changing as their numbers are growing. Today, women represent about 1/3 of the single adult homeless shelter population each night, and half of those are 50 and older. Through women's accounts, we sought to deepen our understanding of the impacts of shelter life and displacement onto the streets. Oops. We chose to focus on women in their 50s, as from a policies perspective, they're the tweeners. What I mean by that is that although their physical health in many ways resembles counterparts in their 70s, they're not eligible for Medicare or many other health aging benefits. Yet, without having dependent children, they also don't have access to family-related benefits. In essence, these women often fall through our nation's social safety net. Of the interviewed women, the majority were women of color. All were currently spending each night in a shelter. Almost half met the federal definition of being chronically homeless, and almost all have been displaced multiple times. What I'm going to do now is share the 6 themes that emerged from our interviews. The first theme was shelters are dehumanizing places that stigmatize women and diminish their sense of self-worth. Women consistently rallied against being reduced to a one-dimensional identity of homelessness, a stigmatizing identity of personal inadequacy and or moral weakness. As this woman shared, I think that shelter people should see the homeless as a human being. A homeless person is not a number. They always call us by our bed numbers. We're all dumped together. They think that anyone who comes in there is a drug addict or a prostitute. The most painful thing about the homeless situation is that we're all dumped into one big rotten pot. The second theme that emerged is shelters are dangerous places. One must constantly be on guard to protect oneself. Many women, including this one, spoke about the shelters being like a prison. The first 2 months in the shelter are the hardest. Let me tell you, it's a little prison. It's hardcore. You've got bullies. You've got all these people bumping into you, pushing you around. It's very territorial. The third theme focused on women's views that shelters are bare bones, lacking physical and emotional comfort. One feels a deep sense of loss for the familiarity and routine of home. Commenting on her shelter conditions, this woman shared, I don't see any types of, considerations for older women, especially in terms of bunk beds. It's always first come, first served. You get whatever bed there is. There's no pillows. Sometimes they run out and they give you one bed sheet and no blanket. In shelters, the fourth theme was, in shelters, one loses a sense of control, self-determination, and independence. One feels powerless. The women often raise the regimented nature of shelter life and the stresses of the daily unpredictability of living in a public space with no control over others' attitudes or behaviors. Fifth theme was that the streets and shelters wear you down. One's physical and emotional health suffers. Each morning, the shelter residents, many who are coping with multiple serious health problems, face involuntary displacement onto the street. Thank you very much. Anyone who wants to know about theme 6 and the conclusion can ask me later.